Hey guys, Randy here. Real quick before the episode gets started, we had a lot of trouble with the audio on this episode, and I cleaned it up as much as I possibly could, but there's still a lot of rustling. The microphone I had kept clicking, and so I tried to clean it up, and then at the second half of the episode, Damien's microphone got switched from his headset microphone to his laptop microphone. So if you notice that change, that's why that's there. I'm so sorry about the inconvenience, and that's why this episode was late, but hopefully it's cleaned up enough that it's not too annoying. If it is, I apologize, and hopefully next episode will be a lot better. Thanks, guys. Here we go.
Not up for debate.
Hey everybody, welcome to Not Up for Debate. Today we're going to actually not concentrate on the typical faith-based conversation. We're going to actually talk about parenting, something that a lot of people, especially now, I think are just wondering if it's something they should do, if it's even ethical to bring kids into this world, that kind of thing. So Randy doesn't have kids. I have 4 kids, and we kind of wanted to take the different contrasts and kind of show you the benefits and detriments of either way, right?
Right.
So, Randy, I guess I wanted to start with asking you, what would be like your top concerns if you all of a sudden found out, like my wife or my girlfriend, whoever is pregnant, you're going to be a dad. What would be your top concerns when becoming a father?
Well, I think my top concern now would be different than my top concern was when I was your age, and not because of culture or anything like that. It's because I'm aging now, so I'm 45. So it'd be more, what the hell am I going to do to get myself in the shape that I need to be so I can be there as a father for as long as possible, for my kids. And I do, so I don't have any kids. I dated a woman for a couple years. They had 6 kids, though, so I do have some experience in the child raising area. In fact, at the time, she had 2 2-year-olds, 2 3-year-olds, a 4-year-old, and a 9-year-old. There was 2 sets of twins in there, and it was awesome, man. Like, it was really cool. And so my concern at that time was more like money based, and making sure that there was enough food and all that type of stuff, the normal things. Now obviously I wasn't there when she birthed them, so I didn't have that pre-concern, but it was about making sure that they had what they needed, and I think that will always be a thing, right? You have 4 kids yourself. I'm sure that's come up a time or two where you had to worry about your kids being able to eat, for the next week or 2 or month or whatever, until things. But definitely being 45 years old, my concern is, and I'm going to go a little probably TMI for people, but so I have cancer. Well, I've had cancer. Right now they're not finding any, which is awesome. But at the beginning, when I was going to go into radiation therapy, my radiation therapist, or whatever her term would be, radiologist, I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know. I should know that one. My doctor, she messaged me and she's like, "Hey, I know you don't have any kids. When you go through this, it actually makes it where you're probably not going to want to have kids for a little while if that was something you want, because if you impregnate someone, there's a very good chance there'll be birth defects on the child." And so she was like, "Have you thought about freezing your sperm?" And at first I was like, probably don't need to. And then I got thinking about it. I was like, maybe I do. So I did. And so there's still that chance, that could happen.
Yeah.
And so it's still a concern. I want to be, obviously you want to be healthy for your own sake, but especially if you're responsible for another human being, that's an important thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that, and this is a big reason why we wanted to talk about this today was just because, it is such a sensitive topic for some people. Like what you just said, I didn't find to be TMI, but I think other people might, but, other people are, might be, thinking it's irresponsible of you in one way and, very responsible for you in another or whatever. And we have, friends who are like, absolutely not. I never want kids. I know people that are like, yes, I want that. And we're like trying so hard. We're maybe looking at adopting or like other options now. So that like, this can be a very sensitive topic, and it's maybe not necessarily one that you want to be talking about at like the Thanksgiving table or, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's kind of why we wanted to talk about it today, is because it can be so emotional.
I think it depends on your view of the world, man, though, too. I think if I'm understanding what you're getting at about bringing children into the world the way it is, I think it's about your perspective on the world, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I think having children is hardwired in us to continue not only our lineage, but the human race itself,
Right.
And people say, times are bad now, but let's face it, times, according to movies and books I've seen, have never been like optimal for kids, If anything, there's more resources available now than ever before,
Right.
At least in our neck of the woods,
Right.
Maybe not in some countries or different parts of our country, but, so... I'm just saying, if you go back 200 years ago, to me, that sounds scary to raise a kid in that environment. Of course, they did it, and thankfully, because we're here now, because, so.
And
I don't know.
And 200 years from now, they could be looking back at us and being like, why, like, how,
Yeah.
But, no, I agree with you. I know we like just mentioned this in a previous episode with, I believe it was with Holly, talking about how 100 years ago kids were still working in mines, you know what I mean? Or I don't know if that's the right time period. I think it is, working in mines. And, now it's a worry about, am I going to be able to pay the mortgage, like that, or that kind of thing. So there's just different stressors about having kids. Kids used to be able to be called like 15-year-olds used to be called into war, whatever. I mean, even younger than that, just depending on the time period. Whereas now it's a completely, well, at least in the United States, it's, something you choose into. You can be drafted, obviously, but I'm not worrying about my boys being called into war at the age of 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and just some background for those who know me, Randy will probably throw a picture in there later, but
those who know you or those who don't know you?
For those that don't know me, yes. So right here is my lovely wife, Patty. I don't know that you can see that picture very well. And up here is Michael and Dwight. They're my son. No, I'm kidding. No.
That's my grandpa and my uncle.
That's who we're talking about. No. So, my kids, I'm married to Patty. I've been married for 8 years, and we have 4 kids. We have Isabella, who is 7, Harrison and Oliver, who are twins. They're 5, and then Rachel is 2.
They're 6'5"?
6'5". So 6'5". No, they're my dad's age. No, the boys are 5, and then Rachel is 2. And so that's it. And I on the other end of, I think, and I don't think this would offend you, Randy, but I'm on the other end of kind of Randy's experience, where I consider myself to be a really young dad. I'm 28, and I have 4 kids and I had my first kid at 21. Obviously, people have had kids at younger, but married, had kids like all by the age of 21, which is, I think, pretty significant. And so, I feel like I have some stories to share about I would do this different, or I would do that different, or I'd keep this the same.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, my journey has been, I would keep it the same just because I'm pretty happy with where our family's at. But,
Yeah.
I know,
Definitely.
I know some things that are much different are obviously finances, right? Like it's not, I don't need to be making X amount of money just for myself or just for me and my wife anymore. It's like,
Right.
for every person you have to multiply it or add $800 or whatever. Not 800, but, anyway, I don't know
Those
where
kids eat a lot.
Yeah, I know. You're like, so you're talking me out of it. Is what you're saying? No,
Yeah.
just kidding. So I don't know where I'm really going with that train of thought, but I do have a different experience than Randy, I think.
Yeah. Well, when I was 18, my girlfriend at the time had told me, and we had only been dating maybe 2 months, but she told me she was pregnant. And my answer, I regret now so wholeheartedly. But I told her I didn't want a child. Like, I told her I was 18. I didn't want to go down that road. And I regret that to this day, you know. But that was how I felt at the time, you know. I was just becoming an adult, and I wasn't ready to give that part up, you know. And but anyways, so we continued dating, and then a couple weeks later, or a month or whatever, it's been a long time, she told me that she had a miscarriage. To this day, I often wondered, did she just tell me she had a miscarriage, or, you know, did she actually have one?
Right.
But anyways, a big part of me, you know, wishes things would have went different there. And then I would have had a child young also. But you had talked about the selfish side, and I definitely have that too. Like, I have a hard time giving away my time. You know, I like doing things when I want to do things, and I don't want to plan things weeks in advance if I feel like going somewhere now, you know. So part of me is glad things worked out the way they did, and the other part of me is torn, or feels terrible the way things went. So it's kind of, and I know you have to adapt by your environment, right? So I mean, once you had that first child, I'm sure your life changed tremendously at that point. Maybe it did. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. I know you were working quite a bit. So
yeah. So I mean, I think a big part of it is having, and not everybody has this. So this is in no way like speaking negatively of those who don't. But having a good partner really helps. You know, I mean, so having my wife and I having been together and been having a good marriage, and just like any other relationship, we've had ups and downs, but we've been able to be decent parents together, you know, throughout all the ups and downs. And a lot of that you do end up getting like your independent time, like your independence as well. Like it's more pre-planned, I guess, you know. So if I want to go over to Randy's to have a beer and watch the game, it's going to be like, hey, I'm checking with Patty first before I do that, and usually I'm planning that a few days ahead of time or whatever if I can. But but at like the drop of the moment, like I'm gonna go do this thing, I'm gonna go hang out with the guys, or whatever it might be. Well, is it? First of all, do I want to pack the kid? You know, like, do I want to take the kid with me? Do I want to like go through the trouble of taking them? Do I want them to like be with me at this whatever I'm doing event? And honestly, a lot of the times it's fine. You know, like a lot of times it's like, yeah, they can tag along. But when you get up there with you know, more than one or two kids, and you're at 4 kids, then it's like, can I even fit everybody in my car? Like,
right.
So there is But that's not necessarily even taking the kids with you. That's probably not what you're thinking of either when you're saying independence or freedoms, I guess.
Well, it's part of it. For
Yeah,
sure.
you're like,
And then even worse, sorry not to cut you off, is if you don't have that partner, right? I mean,
right.
You're very blessed to have
Absolutely.
Patty, but
Absolutely.
things could have been a different.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't, man. And like I said, that's rough, and I appreciate any single parents out there because I know that's not an easy game. So, it's not an easy game doing it with a partner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
can't imagine doing it by yourself.
So, you have 4 kids. Is that your goal, or are we going to be just like halfway to the finish line, or where are we at?
Halfway to the, about a quarter. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Of course. We're looking for a baker's dozen.
But yeah, my grandparents had 10, so we were trying to beat them out. No, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm
Not
just
letting
kidding.
that older generation beat me again.
So, so I am good at 4. And I mean, Patty's expressed interest in having another, but I'm kind of like, sorry, I'm kind of like, with finances where they're at, yeah, I can't even afford 4 right now. So, so
If we could downsize for a little
we're
while.
actually going to toss one of these guys out. So, no, just kidding. No, we're,
Bella's getting to that age now where
Yeah.
she needs to start looking for a place.
yeah, she actually needs to start pitching in.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of kids working in mines, I would be more open to it if the finances could handle it emotionally, spiritually. I think like I would be okay. Physically, I'd be about the same, still couch potato.
Right.
No, but but the finances are a big driver for me, even as a parent. So where finances might be a big driver for someone that's deciding to have their first kid, it's like I feel that on my 5th kid, So, but, so for now, I think we're good at 4, and just a little history with on my family. So Patty and I both grew up LDS. I know I've mentioned that in previous episodes. And family is a huge deal in Mormonism. For those that don't know, Mormons believe in eternal families, and it's one of our spiritual duties to multiply and replenish the earth. Within Mormonism. Christianity has encourages families as well. Christianity doesn't have the belief of an eternal family. So,
kind of.
I mean, maybe as a whole, but not as like a individual. Like we are talking about, we'd still be, I would still be Bella's dad in the next life. And so the family unit, as you know it, in heaven. Whereas Christianity is a little bit more loose, like we're all one big happy family, worshiping God together. So anyway, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. You just brought up a discussion point, and I was
oh, that's okay.
But go ahead. It's fine.
That's okay. That was just, it was never a question for either one of us if we were going to have kids. Like that was just an obvious given. Like, yeah, of course we're going to have kids. I didn't really think about not having kids until I had already had all 4 of mine, because I had transitioned out of Mormonism, which was like very, very much like definitely have kids, into Christianity, where it's a little bit more like at your pace. If you can only have 1 kid, then do the 1 kid thing. So yes, like a huge part of the reason why we ended up having kids and so quickly is because of Mormonism. Another reason is because of Patty's age as well, honestly. Patty and I are 8 years apart, and we knew we wanted to have at least 4 or 5 kids, maybe more. And so we had, like, she was I was 20 when I married her, so she was 28. So my current age. So when we got married, so we had to like decide to kind of have kids kind of quickly, because if we, we're not going to be, we don't want to be pregnant for every year until she's like 40 or something like that. But we wanted to kind of get the ball rolling on that. So,
Right.
that is those are big reasons why we decided to have kids so quickly. But, I would never say that I wish it wasn't, or we wish we didn't, you know what I mean? I love my kids, love the situation I'm in. It just might not have been like the same situation if I wasn't Mormon, before. So
you said that having kids was a big part of the Mormonism belief system or recommendation, I guess. So they even have like a college course on it, don't they? At like BYU, I've heard.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know what the college courses at BYU are like.
There's something because my ex was Mormon.
Okay.
And she was telling me that when they go to BYU or BYU Idaho, because that's in her area, there's a course that they take that teaches them how to be a good like husband and wife,
Huh.
a good Mormon husband and wife, and I guess it's like just the thing to do. Like that's the thing, you just do it. Like it's part of your. So when you say the Mormon Church recommends, or like, how is that brought up? Like they sit you down and like, all right, here's the deal. You're gonna have at least 12 kids. We're gonna get you, or is it just kind of generational, where you just do it like back in the old days?
It's more generational, but I mean, it's also like within the teachings. So I'm trying to think of an example if there's like any songs or anything like that we would sing as kids to have.
So you had kid songs.
I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, that's
like
what I'm
Ring
trying to
Around the
think.
Rosie, but
So like one is I don't know that like having a ton of kids is necessarily the teaching or like the push, but having kids and having an eternal family is the push. I think maybe having a lot is more of a cultural thing than a like doctrinal thing. I could be wrong on that. But there is like a song called "Families Can Be Together Forever." Are you looking it up?
yeah, but go ahead.
Okay. There's a song called "Families Can Be Together Forever," and that actually was like my favorite song as a kid. I loved that song, which is so interesting to me because now I'm like, why did I like that as a kid? My parents were divorced, and my mom was married 4 different times. Like I was like, I don't. What part of which dad is gonna, so, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Mom, but it is like, it was, now it confuses me. I'm like, why did I, and I think it was more of a longing for that. Like, oh, that sounds really nice. I want to have that.
Right.
So
I Googled, why do Mormons have so many kids? And on Reddit, someone wrote, they marry young because that's the only way they can have sex. It's just so funny. But what you were saying, you actually remind me a lot of my dad, and I think I told you about it, in the avenue of family was on your goal list from day one. Like family was a big deal. Like there was never any choice. It's like some people grow up, I'm going to be a singer, I'm going to be a painter or whatever. You're like, I'm going to be a dad. Like that was like that was your goal in life.
everybody else is like, I'm going to be a quarterback.
What are you going to do when you grow up? Probably have about 6 kids.
Sorry, I hate that, dude.
Not a problem. I think, like, I don't know. That's interesting. And maybe this is too private. If it is, we can cut this out. But, and I think you even said it earlier that you didn't have a steady family, right? Like, I mean, you had your mom. but you had a different dads, right? Or how did that work?
So I have my mom and I have my dad. So both of my parents have been remarried. So I have a mom and a stepdad and my dad and a stepmom. And my stepdad has been married to my mom since I think I was like 8, I think. So which is like 20 years of my life.
And I met him, I believe, right?
Did you meet? I don't know.
I know your baby's christening or baby dedication or whatever.
I think you met my dad, my actual dad, at Rachel's christening.
Right.
But you have met my mom. So I'm talking about my mom.
Yes, I've met your mom a few times.
A few times. So my mom's husband, Mark, and then my dad and my stepmom has been in my life almost about the same amount of time as Mark has. So it's like a unique situation in that I have 2 sets of parents, and honestly, I look at another couple as like a third set because they raised me in my teenage years. So I have both of those sets of parents, and I wasn't with them for my some pivotal teenage years. Right. The other ones are my aunt and uncle. So, but it's not weird to me. So I've had these parents and all 4 of these parents in my life for almost my whole life, except for maybe as a little kid. So it's kind of just what I'm used to.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of my family makeup. So
I think why I was asking is my dad. He also has a stepdad. In fact, is my grandpa. And a very I don't want to say like close, but we're close.
Right.
He lives farther away than you, so about the same distance. So I don't see him very often. But anyways, he didn't have my grandpa though till he was probably about 7 or 8 as well though, and both of you, like, your goal was to have this strong family. So it's kind of, I guess, like the I drink because my dad drank or I don't drink because my dad drank type thing where
right.
I was that kid that had both of my parents from day one, and my sisters had a different dad. But I never looked at my sisters as half. My sisters to me are my sisters, like 100%. But the family thing, I guess, is what I'm getting at, was never like on the radar for the most part. Like until I was probably 30, it was when I even first started even entertaining the idea of, having kids and a family. Like it just wasn't even an interest of mine.
Whereas it's when I'm almost 30 and have 4 kids and start thinking about maybe I shouldn't have kids.
Yeah, you're not even to the point. Yeah,
that's terrible. No, I love my kids. I would not. It's funny because most of my friends are childless. They don't have kids, and a lot of them are like pretty uncomfortable with the idea of even like babysitting, or so like a lot of my friends are childless and they don't want to babysit my kids, which isn't helpful. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But they're just like, it doesn't, not that they don't want to babysit my kids because they're not available.
Well, your friends are your age or older, man. Like,
yeah, they're my age or older, and they're like not. It's like an uncomfortable thing for them. They're like, I feel like I'm gonna break a kid if I. Even like, or some, like even holding any of the kids when they were babies, they'd be like, you think
I'm good.
I'll look at them. They're adorable. Like, and they've never been rude about my kids or anything like that. Just, I'm gonna not for my own, like for my own comfort, which is totally fair. If you don't want kids, but I suggest. Or if you're not comfortable with kids, I suggest maybe not having them. I guess.
I think when you have them though, man, that changes you.
It's a different ballgame. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've known multiple women that, when you imagine them as they were before they had kids as having kids, you're like, oh, dude, that is a train wreck waiting to happen. And then once they have kids, something changes in their biology or something in their mindset, and they become very, very good moms. In fact, a couple of them told me they didn't want to be moms, and then they had kids, and now they're very good moms. And they really embraced the role once they were put in a situation where they had to, But anyways, did you have something?
Yeah, I guess there was a piece of advice given to me a long time ago. Go ahead.
And we'll find out that piece of advice right after this break.
There we go.
Hey guys, Randy from the podcast here. As you might have known, I'm actually a realtor in the Boise, Idaho mountain home area with Next Home Treasure Valley. If you are looking to move to this area, let me know. Send me a message, and I'd like to help you out.
Yeah, and I can vouch for Randy's real estate expertise. I lived in Boise, Caldwell, for 7 years, and he was ready to sell my house when I was ready to move for work purposes. Love the area. I 100% recommend that area as well, and Randy was right on the ball.
Thanks, Damien, man. I appreciate it. So if you go to YouTube at Randy W Real Estate, that'll take you to my videos, or you can just email me at randy@randywrealestate.com, and we can get the ball rolling. So let me know if there's anything you need. And thanks, Damien. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Randy, you remember how excited I was when I bought my house here in San Antonio?
Oh, yeah, man. You were pretty excited.
You know the one thing I didn't like?
That you were 2,000 miles away from the blue field?
The fence, Randy. The fence.
Oh.
Yeah, it was one windstorm from blowing over. That is until I was introduced to Van and Sons Fencing. Mark was able to meet with me right away and give me free quotes on different variations of how to build our fence. I eventually went with cedar pickets, treated 2x4s, and metal posts that were able to withstand winds of 120 miles per hour.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And you need that with the storms you get down there.
Right? And a year later, I'm still happy with the beautiful sturdy fence and the 2 gates that Van and Sons built for us. Mark, the owner, is actually a neighbor of mine, and he's done several fences in our neighborhood, and I can tell that they have integrity with each job. They don't cut corners, and they offer fair prices. They'll price match other reputable fence companies too.
Well, if I get my act together and actually move to San Antonio, I'll have to hit up Van and Sons Fencing. Are they on social media?
Of course, check out Van and Sons Fencing on Facebook. They have plenty of great pictures of their craftsmanship. And when you're ready, you can message them directly on Messenger or call or text Mark directly at 210-944-9238. Oh, and remember, fences make great neighbors. Hey Randy, have you ever had crack and cheese?
Well, I've had one of those. I'll let you guess which one.
Combine them, man. Just like Satisfied Food Truck did to create their delicious crack and cheese dinner. It's a handcrafted 3-cheese macaroni with buttery panko, or what they call a hood rat crumble, on top. I love the hood rat crumble.
Oh man, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, chasing it down with their Gingosaurus punch is the next step to a perfect dinner. And if you don't go for the crack and cheese, then go for the basic bird slider. I love me a good mini burger.
I mean, why not get both?
Exactly. Order the whole food truck.
How do I find them?
They're in the San Antonio area. Look up Satisfied on Facebook or at satisfied.sa on Instagram. Also, they do catering. Visit their catering website at enzosce.com. That's ENZOSCE.com.
Awesome. I'll tell them Damien sent me. All right, guys, welcome back. Damien, right before we went to break, you were about to give us a big piece of advice that you were given.
Yeah, so it was a big piece of advice that I was given. I'm not necessarily giving it, but it what it will for you. Basically, I was told, and this individual had a kid when they were like 16 or 17. They were younger parents, and he's been married to that mom. So that they were high school sweethearts basically and had kids young, and they're still together today. So their story is pretty inspirational. But he was telling me, don't wait for the next thing. Like, so they're to start having kids. So, like, wait till marriage was his advice, right? But after marriage, like, it's like, don't wait until you're graduated from college, and then don't wait until you get the next house, and then don't wait until you have this much in your savings, and then, you know, like, there's always going to be something, there's always going to be a reason why you're not ready. Don't play that game. When you want to have kids, start having kids. Was his advice, and I do love that a lot, but I also am like, I have mixed emotions about it, I guess.
Don't wait until you know her middle name. Like,
yeah, don't what? That's terrible. Gee. It's terrible.
Don't wait till you can remember her eye color. I sound bad right now.
No, that's freaking funny. But like on one hand, I'm like, that is great advice, and parenting pushes you in a way that's almost unexplainable. So it just is. You have other beings that are reliant on you and your hard work, your efforts to survive. You know. So I do agree that you're going to make it work. As a parent, you're gonna make it work, or you won't, and you'll have your kids taken away. You know, but anyway, but you're gonna make it work, no matter what's gonna happen. So that's why I like that. It's like, don't, like, if you want to have kids, like, do it. That being said, you know, make sure your life isn't an absolute dumpster fire. Is like my opinion. Like, I'm not gonna probably tell, like, a dude sleeping on the sidewalk, like, you know, just
you know what would make things better?
Yeah. You know what would make you work harder?
But that being said, it might, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, probably wouldn't be good advice, but it might change perspectives.
Right, absolutely. And it absolutely...
Given it's not a mental disorder.
Right. And my opinion is not an overall, like, homeless people just don't work hard. That is not what I'm saying. I was trying to crack maybe a inappropriate...
And we just cut this part out of the conversation.
So anyway, that's I do like that advice for the most part.
Yeah.
You're always gonna find a reason why, and then you're to the point where it's gonna be not a very easy process to have kids, you know. And I'm not trying to crap on you, Randy, because I know you're kind of at that point where you're like, you know. So,
you know, in some ways, man, I think there's pros and cons, though, because as you get older, you know, one, you've learned a lot more from the world. I mean, you even from 21 to 28, I'm sure, have picked up quite a few things. Even though at 21 we think we know everything, you know, in reality we really don't. You know, and even at 45, I think there's still a lot to learn. But what I'm trying to get at is you do have some advantages in that way of raising, I think, I don't know, not just raising kids, but in a way. Like, I know that there was things when I was dating Larissa, who had the 6 kids, there were things that I did as the father figure that I wish I never did, you know, just way of handling situations, you know. I wish I would have handled it differently, but I handled it the way my 29-year-old mind understood how to handle it at the time, you know. And sometimes it's easier looking back, you know, hindsight's 2020. But what I'm getting at is I think if you have enough of those hindsights, eventually you learn from that, you know, hopefully.
Right. So that's the advantage of waiting a little, because I was young, man. Like, I feel like even, I know that. So I know, like, my grandparents would be like, we started when we were 18. Like, what do you mean 21 is young for, you know? I agree. Like, there are things even at my age. I know earlier I said, I like the track that my family's been on. I wouldn't really take back a lot of what we do. There are some things that I'm like, if Bella was like 1 right now, or like a newborn right now, these are probably a few things that I would probably want to change, but we're already like on that track. And I will ask our listeners to tune out kids or mute us or make sure
We
children
can't hear your
aren't
kids,
listening.
man. You're good.
No. I'm saying I would like children to not listen to this next part.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'll give you guys a few seconds to turn the volume down, or
So a little inappropriate,
not
Not for
necessarily-
sensitive ears.
not for kids' ears. I wouldn't say necessarily inappropriate, but so here it is. I like one example is I would probably do Santa differently. And we already kind of are even transitioning how we do Santa. It used to be Santa brings the big gifts and the expensive crap, and we have really, and I think we started transitioning at a young enough age that Bella.
I get what you're getting at.
Where we went to no, daddy is the one that got you this Alexa or this really cool Lego set. Santa got you the book and the socks. You know what I mean? So. Or maybe not even doing so.
So why would you do that? And I think I have ideas of why, but I want to hear your perspective on that.
So there's a couple reasons. So the first one would be they need to know that their parents worked hard and that they should be more appreciative, or they should be appreciative where that gift came from, and it's not just it doesn't come out of a magical workshop, right? Not that anyway. Maybe the socks do. Something that is, and that kind of leads me to my next point. Something that everybody else can have. If I get my kids, and I'm not like a gamer or anything, so I'm probably not even going to say the latest console. But if my kids are 15 years old, whenever they start playing PlayStation, and I get them the PlayStation 17 at that point, or whatever number we'll be on, but this $500, $600 item. Plus accessories, that is not, and obviously 15-year-olds probably aren't going to be believing in Santa or whatever, but you get the point. Something big and expensive like that,
What are you talking about? This 45-year-old does.
Okay. Oh, did I? If Randy could turn off his ears. No, I'm just kidding. So
I get what you're saying, man.
And so, whereas my neighbor's kids might not get, the nicest thing the neighbor's kid might get is a jacket or something, whereas I'm getting them a $700. I don't go that crazy, but you know what I mean. There could be.
Then
those kids see that Santa got them something way better than me. What So
I do. I get what you're saying, and I've seen the memes. That's why I was not sure if that's the direction you were going, because I've seen it on Facebook where people have talked about that, and there's probably some truth there, but I mean at that point it's well, is there still a need for Santa? Is it
right.
I believe I believe in, I guess, the spirit of Santa, but growing up Santa did bring me some really good things growing up, but my grandparents had a lot of money. So my biggest gifts often came from my grandparents, not Santa,
Cool. So you guys kind of already did what
kind
we
of
would do.
Yeah.
We've kind of go ahead.
No. So, but Santa did bring me the bigger gifts from my parents, though. So it was tri-level, if you will,
right.
because I had, but I never myself questioned my parents not being hardworking or not having money. It wasn't that. And we were, I guess you would say, middle class, lower middle class, probably. Maybe middle, but definitely not higher middle class for sure. And all the kids in my vicinity were kind of in the same class as me. I grew up in a mobile home park in California, and it was a nice one, though. In fact, I loved it, man. I actually felt bad for the kids that didn't grow up the way I grew up. was saying is I never once thought that way. And my friends, we never like compared, what does Santa bring you? Oh man, why didn't Santa bring me something cool like that?
Right.
But I didn't grow up in the era of the internet also.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I did. I mean, I grew up with internet, but not how it is, not today, in today's world. But
right.
I would say my experience is similar. I never really compared it to what other kids got. I remember the only thing I ever think I compared was like when kids in middle school, they had cell phones and I didn't, and I was like, freaking parents won't give me a cell phone. Anyway,
yeah.
But that wasn't really to do with Santa, but it wasn't something that was brought to my attention until I became an adult.
And I'm wondering if that is us thinking as adults, not, you know what I'm saying? Right. I had actually just an example of that because I was thinking that way, but I can't remember what it was. But it had to do with something about other, not kids, but like we look at animals in a certain way, but that's from our own perspective. And so when animals act in ways that we don't understand, like there was something about a lady was talking about, and I don't know if it was real or not, but I have a feeling it probably was, about how we should train our animals to become vegetarians. But we're thinking of it from our perspective, right? Like
right.
Animals they're away by nature. There's, that's how they're born to be the way they are. But we interfere. We go in and we try to change things to how we want it to be, and I think maybe that's kind of what that was, as, we try to think for the kids. And then unfortunately now, because of the internet and everything, we voice those opinions to the world so then kids see those opinions and then they maybe are influenced by it, I just feel like we were more independent. But I'm saying that, and I'm actually contradicting myself in a way because I can't speak for kids. I don't know what kids are thinking right now.
Well, I've never, even as a parent, I've never had Bella come to me and be like, "Why did Susie or whoever get this type of gift when all we could get is it?" I have had them do that, not necessarily with Santa stuff, but I've had them do that with each other, like as siblings, be like, "Why does Harry get a chocolate and I don't?" That kind of thing. That's
your fault, not Santa's.
Yeah, that's exactly. So, and that's almost the concept that I'm looking at, though. Like that's almost the same idea that I'm looking at is like that. If they're going to be upset that they didn't get a PlayStation, that's because Dad didn't provide it, not because Santa didn't. And anyway, but
yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of so that's just one minor thing that I may like. If I were to start over having kids, that may be a minor thing like that I would change. But
oh yeah, that's where this all started. I forgot.
Yeah. So
I was kind of spoiled by my grandparents, them having money, and I remember one Christmas, dude. I will always remember it. My grandparents bought me a bike, and that was all that they had there. I mean, there's probably a couple little things or whatever. And I remember openly in front of the whole family. It was a big family gathering. Going, that's all I get. Like, and to this day, dude, I feel so terrible. That day, like 20 minutes later, I felt terrible about it. And that I think I needed to do that though. Like I needed that experience in order to stop expecting it, being entitled to those, the nicer things,
Yeah.
So in a way, I wish it never would have happened, but the only one that really remembers it is me.
Right.
So
I have been on the receiving end of that before.
Have you?
And I was not. It wasn't one of my kids, and I wasn't even. I was a teenager at the time, actually.
Right.
And I was like, okay, like I was like, okay, be weird. Anyway, I was a teenager. I was kind of pissed because I did not I didn't have money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and actually, I had it kind of happen. I had it happen. I know we're going way off topic, but I had it happen from a cousin who was like, that's one that was like, that's it. And then I had it happen from someone that was a lot, not the same, almost backwards, that was a lot more privileged than me and who had been to Disneyland multiple times. But I got to go to Disneyland once ever, and it was someone on someone else's tab, you know.
Right.
And I brought this person back a gift. I brought a few friends back a gift, and this friend was like, "Why did you even get me something from there?" And I was like so hurt by that. So anyway, I know we shifted from having kids to accepting gifts.
Well, I think it's all kind of related, in a way.
So, but yeah, that's kind of how we started. We started talking about that as just maybe a minor thing that I may have changed. But I will say, the finances are a different game. Emotions are a different game. It's not obviously an easy job to raise a family. I'm like still in the very beginning stages. So
Yeah, you got a long way to go.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to talk about, I should be going soon because the Seahawks game starts soon, but one other thing
That's why you're DVRing it.
Yeah, I did that. No, one thing I wanted to bring up was I've had, this is a good friend of mine, but I won't say their name, but she got pretty, she had strong opinions about this, and I thought it was fair, but and this is obviously not up for debate, so we're not going to debate it. No, I'll kind of explain both sides of this. So she basically, essentially thought it was bullshit how much money that my wife and I got for tax returns, which I don't need to share that with everybody. You know what I mean? But we were on the topic, and I ended up sharing, and it is. Like, the more kids you have, the more your tip, especially if you're low income, like you're gonna get better. You're gonna get
right
a higher return. So, and she knew that was the case, even outside of me like telling her what we got or whatever. But we were just on the topic, and she just thought it was bullshit how much, not necessarily just me and my wife, but like any family gets over like an individual living on their own. So maybe like my only ask would be kind of what we were talking about earlier, where it's not just if it was just me and I got like a $2,000 return or $1,000 return, I'd be like, sweet, yes, cool, that's great. But it's not. It's me plus 5 other people, and it's not like I just get to spend all that extra money on just myself or just my wife. So I guess I wanted to say, just take it easy on the, it's not, go ahead.
Well, 2 things, and this is off topic. Are you clicking on something, man?
Yeah, I was. Now I'm done.
Like, I can't see you. I can just hear it. I think that's actually part of the modern. People are so concerned with what other people have nowadays, man, that they, I don't know, it makes them look really petty. And I mean, yes, in your way which honestly, if you guys did your taxes in a certain way, you wouldn't have a lot of money coming back still, right? It just depends on how you do your dependents and all that when you get your job. But 2, it's really none of that person's business, like, honestly. And this is how people are always like talking about, billionaires are, you had to have seen it online where people complain about billionaires and what they do with their money. And
I'm one of them.
Are you one of them? Yeah. So, like, to me, like,
one of the billionaires.
People,
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, people don't see the back end of that, man. They don't see how many people they're employing. You don't become a billionaire just because I guess if you happen to win the right lotto, you're good. There's a reason why people get in that situation, and people feel like it's their right to tell other people what they should do with their money, but yet if someone tells them what they should do with their money, they get offended by it, Like, I've just learned, man, like, let people, that's their thing, as long as they're not hurting someone or whatever. I mean, no matter how you look at it and go, well, it could be used better this way or that way, but we're armchair quarterbacking at that point, right? We don't know how to make that $1 billion, otherwise we'd have it ourselves probably. And then we could give away that money. We could do the things that we say that those other people, Elon Musk, should do or whatever. Well, do it. Do it yourself and then find a way of giving it away. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like that person that was talking to you about that is the same, only we're not talking about someone's $1 billion. We're talking about a couple $1,000s that you're getting.
It's honestly not that. And the other thing too, like it kind of goes along with you're so concerned about other people, is we tend to make, I know we're going way off it had to do with my family's tax returns, right? But we tend to make the enemy out of each other rather than who the enemy should probably be. And I don't know if enemy is necessarily the word that we should use, but the opponent, whatever you want to use. But in that case, it's not like I don't choose the government setup. You know what I mean? I don't choose how taxes work. I mean, I get a vote and stuff, but I don't, like, that is not on me. I do benefit or not benefit from it.
Right.
And so it's like when we're kind of pitting ourselves against each other, when it's in reality, it's, well, we need to fix the system more than anything. But I know that we're getting into a completely different topic.
Yeah, different topic. But yeah, you're right. You're just playing a game that you were dealt into. So, but I think did you have more you wanted to go on, man?
No, I'm good. Speaking of family, they're wanting me to go and join them for the Seahawks game. So
yeah,
go.
I think it's a good time for us to call it a day.
Yes.
So do you want to lead us out or?
Yeah. Just thank you guys all for listening in today. I know it was a little bit different of a subject. We'll do that time to time where we talk about something that's maybe a little bit more deep.
Clicking.
Oh, sorry. We'll talk about something different time to time that's not really faith related, but has still deep.
Still not up for debate.
Still not up for debate. Yeah. Still not up for debate. Still deep conversations. Randy and I like to get into those personally, and sometimes we're just like, let's just record that. So if you guys have topics you want to hear about, if you guys want to be a guest on our podcast, any suggestions, any fact checking you want to do, not that I'm gonna announce all my fact checks. Anyway,
I am.
Randy will reach out to us. Contact at notup4debate.com. So contact at notup4debate.com and check us out on notup4debate.com. Thank you guys again for listening in.
Thanks, guys.